Hollywood once had a cold, unforgiving way of measuring women. It was not talent, intelligence, or the ability to command the camera, but body measurements printed in bold across newspapers and magazines. Some actresses had not even appeared in their first movie yet, but their bust measurements were already being advertised across America. It sounds insane, doesn't it? A woman could become a star before audiences even knew what her voice sounded like. Curves could open the door to fame, but they could also become a gilded cage. Hollywood photographed them, measured them, designed revealing outfits for them, and then sold those images to millions of people. When the lights went out, many of these women had to fight to be recognized as real artists. Some regained control. Others were consumed by the very image created for them. In today's story, I am not only talking about the bodies that once drove the press wild. I want to go deeper, to the places those polished publicity photos never allowed us to see. These are stories of battles against stereotypes, studio control, cruel comments about weight, plastic surgery rumors, and tragedies that ended far too soon. Behind the glitter, the scars remain. Welcome to Hollywood Stars and Scars. Number 17, Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton understood the game from a very early stage. Her platinum blonde wigs, tiny waist, form-fitting stage outfits, and measurements that the press often described as around 36D. D made her impossible to confuse with anyone else. Dolly never stepped onto a stage timidly. She appeared like a burst of bright light, fully aware that every eye in the room would immediately turn toward her. But that glamorous image came from a girl who grew up in poverty in Tennessee. Dolly understood that a bold appearance might make people stop and look for a few seconds, but only the music could make them stay. She wrote Jolene, 9 to 5, and I Will Always Love You, the song that later became a worldwide hit through Whitney Houston's voice. She also wrote thousands of songs, played several instruments, acted in movies, and produced television programs. What is remarkable is that Dolly never pretended her appearance was completely natural or accidental. She spoke openly about cosmetic procedures and often made herself the subject of jokes about her looks. Whenever someone was preparing to laugh at her, Dolly had usually already told the joke first. That was not weakness. It was her way of taking the weapon away from people who wanted to hurt her. Hollywood repeatedly wanted to push Dolly's image further, but she knew where to draw the line. She reportedly turned down several offers to pose nude. When she appeared on the cover of Playboy in 1978, she still wore the famous bunny costume instead of handing complete control of her body over to the magazine. Behind the seemingly frivolous image was a woman who built Dollywood and gave millions of free books to children through the Imagination Library. Number 16, Sofia Vergara. Sofia Vergara also entered Hollywood with a body that casting directors noticed before they recognized her comedic ability. She was discovered on a beach in Colombia, later appeared in a Pepsi commercial, and then worked as a model and Spanish-language television host. When she moved into the English-speaking market, her distinctive accent and prominent curves quickly turned Sofia into the image of the Latino woman Hollywood believed it already understood. Her role as Gloria Delgado Pritchett in Modern Family brought her worldwide fame. Gloria's tight dresses and confident walk appeared in almost every promotional campaign. Sofia never denied that her appearance helped the character attract attention. She also spoke honestly about very ordinary difficulties, from finding bras that fit to choosing clothes that worked with her naturally large bust. But here's the twist many people overlooked. Sofia did not simply stand in front of the camera and wait for other people to deliver the jokes. She was willing to scream, make strange facial expressions, exaggerate her accent, and turn her own glamorous image into comedic material. That required enormous confidence. Not every beautiful woman is willing to look ridiculous in order to make a scene truly work. The role earned Sofia multiple Emmy and Golden Globe nominations and helped make her one of the highest-paid television actresses in America for many years. She continued turning that attention into advertising deals, fashion lines, furniture fragrances, and numerous other business ventures. Hollywood saw her body first, but Sofia made them pay for the intelligence behind it. Number 15. Kate Upton. While Sofia turned stereotypes into comedy, Kate Upton faced an even colder industry. When Kate entered modeling, she had a full bust, a slim waist, and an athletic figure. High fashion in the early 2000s favored extremely thin bodies. Some people in the industry said she was too curvy, too commercial, and unsuitable for designer clothing. In 2011, Kate appeared in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue and was named Rookie of the Year. Her 2012 cover turned her into a worldwide sensation. Her later appearances in 2013, 2017, and 2024 proved that her appeal was not a short-lived craze. The public immediately embraced the body type that many people in the fashion industry had tried to exclude from major runways. This is what makes the situation truly insane. The industry said Kate did not belong, but audiences made her photographs appear everywhere. Instead of shrinking herself to fit someone else's standards, she moved into major advertising campaigns and Vogue fashion editorials. Kate forced the fashion industry to confront an uncomfortable truth. Perhaps the problem was not her body, but their extremely narrow way of looking at it. Before becoming famous, Kate was also an accomplished equestrian who had won multiple championships. The discipline she developed through sports helped her maintain her confidence, while strangers constantly judged her appearance. She later tried acting in The Other Woman and The Layover. Her film career did not replace modeling, but Kate's story remains important because she succeeded without apologizing for the fact that her body took up more space than fashion standards allowed. Number 14. Ashley Graham. Ashley Graham took that confrontation even further. She entered an industry that often treated curvy women as though they needed to be fixed before they deserved to appear on a magazine cover. Ashley's wide hips, prominent bust, and voluptuous figure did not fit traditional sample sizes. Instead of trying to turn herself into a smaller version, she made that difference the foundation of her career. In 2016, Ashley became the first size 16 model to appear on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. The photograph made an impact not only because it was glamorous. For the first time, millions of women saw a full-figured body presented without an accompanying story about weight loss, self-improvement, or a promise that she would soon become smaller. Ashley stood there as though she fully belonged on that cover, because she truly did. She spoke publicly about cellulite pregnancy weight changes and the pressure placed on women to apologize when their bodies do not fit sample sizes. However, that success also created controversy. Some people accused Ashley of promoting an unhealthy image. Others argued that the fashion industry was only using her as symbolic proof of diversity without truly changing how things operated behind the scenes. Ashley continued building fashion projects, hosting programs, giving speeches, and publishing her book, A New Model. I believe the greatest value of this story does not lie in one particular dress or magazine cover. It lies in the fact that a woman who had been told her body did not belong in fashion forced the entire industry to explain why millions of customers who looked like her had been ignored for decades. Number 13. Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly was underestimated in a different way. Her soft, high-pitched voice, form-fitting dresses, and glamorous figure often caused Hollywood to place her in roles as beautiful but naive women. Many people looked at Jennifer and assumed they already understood everything about her. But that was exactly the mistake she turned into a weapon, because Jennifer often knew precisely how much audiences were underestimating her. In Bullets Over Broadway, she played Olive Neal, a beautiful actress with almost no talent. Jennifer turned the character's vanity, frustration, and intentionally terrible acting into sharp comedy. The performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Suddenly, the voice that had once caused her to be stereotyped became an acting tool that no one else could completely imitate. Jennifer later became Tiffany Valentine in Bride of Chucky. The revealing outfits and exaggerated femininity could easily have turned the character into a cheap joke. But Jennifer gave Tiffany enough humor, anger, and personality to turn her into a horror icon who continued across several movies and television programs. Once again, she used the box Hollywood had placed her in to create something larger than the box itself. The most interesting twist came outside the screen. Jennifer became a professional poker player and won the World Series of Poker Ladies Championship in 2005. At the poker table, dresses and a distinctive voice could not help her win. Only the ability to read opponents, handle pressure, and make accurate decisions mattered. Jennifer did not run away from her glamorous image. She simply kept proving that anyone who stopped at her appearance had missed the most dangerous part of her mind. Number 12. Katy Perry. Katy Perry turned her body into part of a colorful pop music world. Tight dresses, candy-inspired costumes, and deliberately exaggerated styles made each of her videos look like a living cartoon stage. When I Kissed a Girl introduced Katy to the public, her bold image immediately became part of the way her music was promoted. The album Teenage Dream continued producing hits such as California Girls, Firework, and Last Friday Night. Katy's stage outfits were sometimes discussed almost as much as the songs themselves. However, the sexuality in her image was rarely completely serious. It could be strange, humorous, colorful, or intentionally excessive. Katy did not simply wear an outfit. She created an entire character that matched the world of each song. Behind that confidence, however, was a more complicated story. Katy has spoken about receiving attention related to her bust from an early age. When a girl's body becomes a subject of discussion before she is mature enough to fully understand what that attention means, it can have lasting effects. Katy gradually learned to control how her image was presented, instead of allowing other people's gaze to control her. Years of touring, songwriting, live performances, and judging American Idol revealed the work that stage photographs could never fully capture. Katy's appearance made her instantly recognizable, but it could not write a series of hit songs or fill performance venues by itself. She turned body confidence into part of her performance, but her career survived because of the labor behind the costumes that sometimes appeared designed only to shock. Number 11. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Jennifer Love Hewitt once represented approachability. She began on Disney's Kids Incorporated, gained greater recognition as Sarah Reeves on Party of Five, and then became a major face of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Her dark hair, expressive face, and full figure made Jennifer appear both familiar and cinematic enough for movies aimed at younger audiences. Hollywood quickly promoted her as the girl next door who could become a sex symbol at any moment. Magazine photo shoots and red carpet appearances often focused more on her body than on her acting process. Jennifer continued with I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, led Ghost Whisperer for 5 seasons, and then starred in The Client List, a project that deliberately used her glamorous image in its promotional campaign. But when Jennifer's body changed, the media's attitude also changed in a deeply unfortunate way. Comments about her weight followed her for years, as though an actress were required to maintain exactly the same body the public had known when she was in her 20s. Instead of treating normal physical changes as a personal failure, She refused to apologize and continued working while building a family. Jennifer later returned to long-running television with 911. Her career has included horror romance comedy, supernatural drama, and television drama. What makes me think is that the media often remembers every change in her body, while audiences remember the feeling of warmth and familiarity Jennifer brought to her characters. Hollywood sold her image, but her approachability and endurance were what kept her there. Number 10. Christina Hendricks. Christina Hendricks once made American television reconsider its beauty standards. When Mad Men premiered in 2007, she appeared as Joan Holloway, later known as Joan Harris. Her red hair, form-fitting 1960s dresses, and controlled walk made Joan immediately stand out on a screen filled with extremely thin bodies. The press quickly began discussing Christina's body almost as often as they discussed the show itself. Rumors repeatedly questioned whether her bust was natural. Christina denied having breast implants and said that casting directors had previously encouraged her to change her figure. Oh my God. Even a successful actress was still expected to explain her body to complete strangers. What made Joan Harris special was that Christina did not play her as an office decoration. Joan understood very clearly how men looked at her and sometimes used that attention to her advantage. But Mad Men also showed the insults, injustice, and limitations she endured in an environment controlled by men. Beauty gave Joan power, but that power always came with a bitter price. Christina received multiple Emmy nominations for the role and later appeared in Good Girls and other projects. She proved that she could handle comedy, crime, and drama without living forever in Joan's shadow. Hollywood saw her figure first. Audiences stayed because Christina could combine glamour, authority, and vulnerability in a single look. Number 9. Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek arrived in Hollywood with a distinctive Mexican accent and a beauty that immediately attracted casting directors. Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn turned her into an international sex symbol. Form-fitting outfits and bold images helped spread Salma's name, but they also convinced Hollywood that it had found the only role suitable for her. That was the trap. The industry was willing to film close-ups of Salma's body long before it trusted her with a psychologically complex role. Instead of accepting the position of the glamorous woman standing beside the male lead, Salma spent years developing Frida, the story of Mexican painter Frida Kahlo. She not only played the lead role, but also personally produced the project. Frida earned Salma an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. It was the moment Hollywood was forced to confront what it had deliberately ignored. The woman who had once been reduced to her accent and curves could lead a painful, artistic, and ambitious biographical film. Salma never denied her appeal, but she refused to allow it to become her final limitation. She continued working in action movies, comedy drama, television, and production, while also speaking out for women facing violence and discrimination. Her appearance opened the Hollywood door for Salma, but it also placed an obstacle immediately behind that door. Her career survived because she was persistent enough to break through that obstacle before the industry could lock it again. Number 8. Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson also understands what it feels like to have one famous image overshadow years of work. Natasha Romanoff's tight black suit as Black Widow became one of the images Marvel promoted most aggressively. Her deep voice, hourglass figure, and confident presence made Scarlett an easy focus of every advertising campaign. But before Black Widow, she had been working since childhood. The Horse Whisperer and Ghost World brought her attention, while Lost in Translation marked an important transition into adult roles. In that film, Scarlett played a lonely young woman in Tokyo. There were no major action scenes or flashy performances. Her appeal came from her eyes, her silence, and the sense of isolation she communicated to the audience. Within the Marvel universe, Scarlett gave Natasha toughness, tension, and vulnerability. With only the costume, Black Widow could easily have become an empty action character. But Scarlett made audiences feel the painful history behind her calm exterior. That is why the character became beloved, not simply because of the way the studio placed her image on posters. Scarlett later won a Tony Award for A View from the Bridge and received 2 Academy Award nominations in the same year for Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit. She moved between independent films, theater comedy, voice acting, and billion-dollar franchises. Hollywood may have marketed Scarlett's body, but it never succeeded in limiting her entire career to one costume. Number 7. Jane Russell. Jane Russell's story takes us back to a time when movie studios could construct an actress's entire life at a desk. Audiences had not even seen Jane's first movie when Howard Hughes turned her into a subject of nationwide discussion. Publicity photographs for The Outlaw focused heavily on the dark hair, confident expression, and full figure of a completely unknown woman. Hughes even designed a special bra intended to emphasize Jane's bust in the movie. The shocking detail is that she found it uncomfortable and later revealed that she did not actually wear the design during filming. Jane used her own padded bra. However, the story about Hughes's creation still became part of the advertising campaign because scandal was more valuable than the truth. The controversy surrounding Jane's appearance contributed to delays in the release of The Outlaw, but it also created exactly what Hughes wanted: curiosity. An actress's body was sold to the public before her talent had the opportunity to speak. Jane understood that her curves had opened the door, but she refused to stand still like a decorative object inside the room. She demonstrated her comedic ability alongside Bob Hope in The Paleface, and starred with Marilyn Monroe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Outside film, Jane adopted 3 children and founded an organization that supported international adoption. Hollywood introduced Jane through her body, but her humor, music, discipline, and compassion created the part of her legacy that promotional posters could never measure. Number 6. Mae West. Mae West did not wait for Hollywood to decide how she should be seductive. She wrote her own rules. With her full figure, deep voice, and dialogue filled with double meanings, Mae kept censorship boards of the 1930s constantly worried. Her tight dresses attracted attention, but what made her truly dangerous were the words coming from her own mouth. In 1926, before becoming a movie star, Mae wrote and starred in the play Sex in New York. Authorities considered the production obscene, and she was sentenced to jail. For most artists, an arrest could have ended a career. For Mae, it became free publicity. She understood that public outrage could be transformed into curiosity, and curiosity would eventually sell tickets. When she entered the movie industry, Mae found ways to slip suggestive lines past the censors. She'd Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel made her one of Paramount's highest-paid stars. Mae's characters did not stand around waiting for men to choose them. They chose men, controlled the conversation, and never apologized for enjoying attention. For women at that time, such an attitude was almost an act of rebellion. Mae's image became so famous that inflatable military life jackets used during World War II were nicknamed after her. However, behind the bold lines was a playwright, screenwriter, singer, and businesswoman who invested her money carefully. Hollywood promoted Mae West's curves, but her intelligence and creative control were what made her a threat to the old rules. Number 5. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was born for enormous movie frames. In Cleopatra, She appeared beneath heavy jewelry, low necklines, and costumes designed to turn every step into a cinematic event. The expensive production, her relationship with Richard Burton, and Elizabeth's extraordinary beauty caused the press to follow her private life almost like a separate entertainment program. But Elizabeth had been working since she was a child. Her dark hair, violet blue eyes, and full figure made her a favorite among photographers. As she grew older, her marriages and relationships were endlessly analyzed by the public. Richard Burton even used extreme language to describe Elizabeth's body, revealing how strongly people connected her with desire and excess. What the glamour often concealed was Elizabeth's genuinely frightening acting ability. A Place in the Sun, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf forced audiences to see the anger, desperation, and pain behind the perfect face. She won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress, proving that glamorous photographs were only the easiest part of her to sell. When the AIDS crisis caused many famous people to remain silent out of fear, Elizabeth used her fame to raise money, challenge prejudice, and support the creation of organizations devoted to research and patient care. That was a very different kind of courage from red carpet beauty. Hollywood turned her into a symbol of extravagance, but Elizabeth used that symbol to defend people society had abandoned. Number 4. Shannon Elizabeth. Shannon Elizabeth needed only one small role for her entire life to become tied to a single image. In American Pie, she played Nadia, the beautiful exchange student who appeared in an intimate scene that became one of the movie's most discussed moments. Almost overnight, Shannon became a sex symbol of the late 1990s. She had worked as a model, so Hollywood quickly understood how to promote her dark hair, striking figure, and confidence in front of the camera. After American Pie, Shannon appeared in Scary Movie, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and 13 Ghosts. She tried comedy, horror, television, and drama, but the public kept pulling her back toward Nadia. This is the dark side of a breakthrough role. It can open every door and then stand directly in front of the exit. Casting directors often saw Shannon as the former sex symbol from a teenage comedy, instead of an actress capable of a wider range. No later role received the same level of attention, although she never completely left acting. Eventually, Shannon built a life outside Nadia's shadow. She competed in major poker tournaments and gained respect for her genuine ability as a player. She also devoted much of her time to animal conservation and wildlife rescue efforts. The image that once made Shannon famous followed her for decades, but it was no longer allowed to define the entire woman behind it. Number 3. Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian represents a new era in which celebrities are not only exploited by the media, but can also build their own media machines. Kim's small waist, full hips, and prominent bust became one of the most discussed body types in modern popular culture. Keeping up with the Kardashians turned every fashion choice she made into an event. Plunging dresses, corsets, bodysuits, and carefully designed red carpet outfits rarely appeared by accident. Kim understood that every camera angle, every neckline, and every social media photograph could generate conversation. Instead of running away from attention focused on her body, she studied it, controlled it, and converted it into money and commercial power. That strategy became the foundation of Skims. The brand expanded from shapewear into bras and many products designed to support smooth or reshape the body's contours. Kim even promoted a push-up bra featuring details that imitated visible nipples, turning something normally hidden beneath clothing into a product designed to create discussion. For Kim, controversy is not an accident. It is a marketing tool. Her body also became the center of countless cosmetic surgery rumors. Kim has admitted to some procedures, but has not confirmed many of the interventions commonly attributed to her. Those gaps in information only encourage more public debate. What is frightening is how the line between the real woman and the brand has almost disappeared. Kim gained control over the public's obsession, but to maintain it, she also has to live inside that image every day. Number 2. Jayne Mansfield. While Kim's story shows how a woman can turn public scrutiny into an empire, Jayne Mansfield's story shows the tragedy of an image becoming larger than the person behind it. She died in a car accident in 1967 at only 34 years old, after more than a decade of Hollywood turning her body into a famous promotional tool. With measurements often publicized as 40, 21, 35, blonde hair and tight dresses, Jayne became a sex symbol of the 1950s. Fox marketed her as a rival to Marilyn Monroe, but Jayne's image was louder, more direct, and more dependent on public appearances, designed to attract press attention. The girl can't help it, and will success spoil Rock Hunter? Made her a box office star. Jayne had comedic ability, played the piano and violin, and loved languages, music, and theater. However, movie studios still built most of her roles around her appearance. As serious acting opportunities declined, she moved into nightclub performances and controversial publicity projects, most notably Promises, Promises in 1963. Jayne's story feels sadder than it does shocking. She created an image so powerful that Hollywood almost stopped seeing the talented woman behind it. Fame placed Jayne in history, but it also caused her body and publicity photographs to be remembered more clearly than her musical ability and acting ambitions. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. And then we come to Marilyn Monroe, the name that makes every previous story seem like only the introduction. The image of her white dress blowing upward in the 7-year itch became a cinematic icon. But behind that confidence and glamour was enormous pressure that the public rarely saw. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, Marilyn began her career as a model before the studios built her into a completely new image. Her hair was dyed platinum blonde, her makeup and clothing styles were changed, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire turned her appearance into the center of her fame. However, Marilyn did not want to be viewed forever as a blonde woman who existed only for other people to admire. She studied acting, fought against the studio, and established Marilyn Monroe Productions to gain control over her career. Some Like It Hot proved that her comedic ability was the result of talent, careful calculation, and serious training. Marilyn died in 1962 at only 36 years old. More than 6 decades later, her image still appears on posters, clothing, and countless commercial products. That immortality also carries a tragic quality, because the woman who once fought to control her own image continues to be sold around the world without being able to decide how it is used. The lesson here is not that beauty is dangerous or that confidence should be hidden. The lesson is that we should be careful about the way we look at other people. A photograph cannot tell an entire life story. A body measurement cannot measure intelligence, compassion, or perseverance. And a famous person's body does not become public property simply because they appear on a screen. I hope that after this video we will remember these women for more than their clothing or the photographs that once caused a sensation. They were musicians, actresses, producers, businesswomen, athletes, mothers, activists, and human beings who had to pay a price to gain the right to tell their own stories. Some of them succeeded. Others were never given enough time. Which person surprised you the most, and which story made you feel that Hollywood had gone too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy stories about Hollywood's glamour scars and buried secrets, please press like, subscribe to Hollywood Stars and Scars, and turn on notifications. Thank you for staying with me until the final moments. Remember that behind every icon is a real human being with personal dreams, fears, and limits. We will meet again in the stories ahead, where the lights of Hollywood still shine brightly, but the shadows behind them are always longer than audiences were ever allowed to see.